So the last couple of videos we were talking about the Buffet Powell and what's kind of unique about it, but I want to jump back on the Conn 6M and kind of continue that discussion where we left off. So previously we've been talking about some of the unique key work and the different parts of the saxophone that make it unique, and I think it draws a warranted discussion to one of the most visibly different feature about this saxophone, which is the tuning device on the neck. This is one of the third iteration Conn 6Ms, and it has the later design of the tuning device. Now, the first tuning device will appear in saxophones starting around 1919, when Edward Gulick patented the first tuning device for wind musical instruments and assigned it to the C.G. Conn Limited Corporation. And its concept was to, right off the bat, eliminate some discrepancies in the saxophone's tone and tuning when just moving the mouthpiece on the cork. Instruments today, the majority of saxophones actually, will have a mouthpiece on the cork to a certain length, and you will tune the saxophone by pulling the mouthpiece out or pushing in, and therefore shortening the length of the tube to your instrument and making it sharper or flatter. Now, using the tuning device on a Conn 6M or 8M saxophone allows you to keep the mouthpiece flush with the end of the cork so that you have a consistent air chamber from the tip of the reed to the end of the bell that can slide transverse through the actual length of tubing here, making it sharper or flatter rather than just, pushing or pulling out. So there's a couple cool things about this later design, this kind of third V3 design, as I like to say. There was a second patent that Alan Loomis did in between Gulick's two inventions that was more of a kind of a screwed single sliding mechanism rather than this kind of turning, twisting ring. But this later design has a couple new features. Now, this was patented in 1929, but didn't show up on the saxophones until the release of the Conqueror models in the late 30s. But it's now a double-threaded mechanism. So it moves twice as fast because there's a left-hand thread and a right-hand thread on the receiving and opening tenon. So you can you have not only a longer range to tune, but it's moving quicker. It still means you have to spin about 50 times to get to the end. However, this occurs at a really cool time in the saxophone's history because previously, in the roughly first 50 years of the instrument's design, you could order the saxophone in high or low pitch, and that would be a shorter, by roughly, well, it's proportional throughout the family, but the alto saxophone was 1 inch shorter for a high-pitched 7M as the low-pitched 6M. And over time, this concept just kind of fell out of favor because tuning standards kind of fell right in that 440 range that we now use today at A 440. This tuning device came around and in publications was given the name of the extra wide tuning range from below 437 to above 445 for tuning note A. And you can see this visibly in the rough, half-inch to an inch difference that the tuning mechanism can travel in the length of the neck. So right now it's at a further lower pitched position. I'm going to extend this out just a little bit more. I personally, at my stature, like a longer length to the neck because it helps me reach the saxophone a little bit better. I know a lot of people prefer a shorter distance and then they lip down or lip up as needed. Now, I like this because you really have two instruments, more or less. You have a high-pitched and a low-pitched saxophone built into one with a neck like this. And I'm going to play an example of that with the neck first in a further extended position. And you can see on mine, there's a slight shine to the brass in the space in the middle. And then I also put a little mark for where I like to kind of start with my tuning. And here, just the sound quality, it might be a little bit darker or, flatter in comparison to certain things. And let me know what you think. It's very rich. There's a little bit more space for the air to, just to breathe and grow. And now that I keep talking about this, I'm actually going to, start to turn clockwise in to shorten the length of the total instrument. Note that, with the mouthpiece at the very edge of the cork, right? The end of the the neck is now right at what they call the optimal placement for the chamber. So you have the full mouthpiece chamber that is attached directly at its, stopping point, more or less, to the saxophone. That gives you this consistent airstream throughout, so that all you have to do is change the length of the tube rather than, worry about potential, there's more air in the chamber or less of the chamber being used. Keeps it consistent, keeps the flow. So now, as you can see, this is all the way up against the octave key and the octave pip. And the inside sleeve actually has kind of a carved out indentation for the the locking tone hole there. So now I'm going to play it, and it's going to be a much brighter sound, so kind of tune your ears into that. And again, let me know what you think in comparison, because a lot of people like it, to keep this tuning device all the way in its closed position. A lot of people keep it, farther out, like myself, or some find kind of a balance in the middle. And it's worth experimenting with if you have one of these tuning devices to kind of match where your sound concept fits your tuning and the range of the instrument itself. So here is the high-pitched version 6M, and away we go. Very different experience. It's very jumpy. It's a brighter sound. It's a sharper sound. It's a higher pitched sound in general. But a saxophone like this has that versatility and has that range simply because you can actually extend the length of the instrument and create the pitch and sound that you want. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this kind of quick discussion and demonstration of what this later design MICROTUNER neck can do. And let me know if you have any questions or comments, as always. And thank you again for watching and subscribing. This channel is growing incredibly because of you all, and it's a joy to continue to talk about these saxophones with you. So as always, I'm going to play you guys out, and I wish you a wonderful week ahead, and thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.